to go live on YouTube.
Naveen, could you please present the deck?
We are live now.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, we started the webinar a bit late. There were some back-end settings that we were going on. So sorry for that. Welcome to this exciting webinar, A Playbook to Beat IT Career Slowdown, which would deep dive into navigating IT careers in challenging times. Whether you are a student aspiring to enter the IT industry or a seasoned professional looking to enhance your career, we all need that guidance on how to navigate the market. And today's insightful session ahead promises to do just that. Today's focus is on understanding the dynamics of the IT job market, how to navigate IT career in times of slowdown, what should be the reskilling and upskilling strategies, and exploring the opportunities that lie ahead. Now let's meet our distinguished speakers who will guide us through this journey. First up, we have Mr. Naveen Athresh. He is a renowned TEDx speaker, Forbes India Top 100 leader, a product leader, and the founder of Liquidmind.ai. Joining Naveen is a seasoned professional from Accenture, Mr. Chakshu Garg, with a rich background in data science. We are truly honored to have such accomplished speakers with us today, and we are eagerly anticipating your session, both of you, and listening to what all you have in store for us. I would like to bring to our lovely audiences notice who have joined in from their different devices from different cities to stay engaged, as we will be pausing at the end of our session for an interactive quiz as well. We understand the attendees will have questions throughout this particular session, but we request to reserve them all till about the end till about the end of the session. We'll be taking all those questions then only. Without further ado, Naveen and Chakshu, I would like to hand over the stage to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Hina. Perfect. Thanks all. First of all, thank you for taking the time out to join us on a topic that's becoming pretty mainstream and in focus over the last 12 months. It's been a hard fought last 1 year or so. If you look at most industries in the tech landscape, whether it is financial technologies, digital commerce, whether it is new and emerging Web3 tech, anything and everything around some of these solid industries, if you will, over the last decade or so and retail, of course, have been shaken pretty heavily with a tech slowdown. And this was in some sense coming, except that people didn't have a crystal ball to kind of, as with most recessionary scenarios, people don't really have a crystal ball to gauge, what happens and what is the timing of that up and the down cycles. But then, I'd like to take a step back and dwell on some aspects of my career that should hopefully resonate with pretty much each of you in the audience. Just to go back into history, perhaps a good pertinent example would be around the time when I was graduating out of my engineering stream back in 99. I had a campus job offer in 98, picked it up, and then all was going well. And then I decided the usual conundrum plaguing any student, quite literally around when they finish their various graduate programs. In my case, it was engineering stream. I was going through the humdrum of a typical software behemoth in those days, TCS, with about 8,000 employees. And within a year, I kind of got bored. I said I wanted to experiment with startups. I want to try out my hand at some MS, which seems to be the in thing for most engineering graduates in those days, perhaps even continuing till date. And then I was hit with a huge reality. As I decided that the markets in the US post the dot-com bust that you see at the right top, 2001, that went on through the better part of early 2000s, killed most jobs that were in the offing across tech majors worldwide. Huge component and electronics manufacturers, of computer systems like Sun Microsystems, the HPs, the Dells of the world, everybody pretty much, decided to cut jobs in successive waves. And it generally doesn't come at one go. They do this wave retrenchment strategy or replacement strategy. And back then it was no different. Why? Because if you look back in those days, there were these uh, huge focus and impetus that had gathered main steam 6 years before that, somewhere between mid 90s through till the early 2000s. And people had over-invested into the so-called e-commerce regime across as the internet became mainstream. And most the ones that supplied the hardware to these internet upstarts and people experimenting with various business models, they kind of collapsed, and it took with it the secondary and the tertiary industries as well. So why am I giving you this example? I mean, I do want you to take a step back, calm down, realize that recessionary trends, whether it is an up market in the hiring job market, I mean, or a down market, are part and parcel of any macroeconomic cycle. And the way to solve for it is obviously we don't control macroeconomic factors. In our case, over the last few years, it was driven by a very low interest rate regime, especially in Americas. And what that meant is people were able to get access to easy capital, and therefore, venture funding, went through the roof. And people were funding various industries, like I gave the example earlier, digital commerce, or whether it's fintech waves or Web3 technologies and so on and so forth, and any other new and emerging technology. And startups that didn't really have a sound business model kind of felt the heat the most when it started slowing down somewhere around the FTX bust that happened around mid-November last year. So why am I here? I'm also trying to give you this assurance that, look, these ups and downs are part of any economic cycle. Hang in there. And the way to kind of improve on it is use these downtimes to actually improve and harness the knowledge, and also ensure that we're investing in the right technologies going forward. That's going to be pretty much another theme that I touch upon through the course of my discussion with you guys over the next few minutes. The next bust, equally pertinent post the 2001, as it started improving, the upcycle started taking shape somewhere around 2003, 2004, came in 2007, somewhere in towards the middle. People didn't see it coming again. This was a very different bubble. It was a subprime mortgage mess for those of you that are like dinosaurs like me in the industry. And that, again, the world was caught unaware. People had bet on the fact, the underlying, forget all the technical stuff, right? To cut to the chase, people had bet on the fact that the real estate market's forever going up. And suddenly people realized that there came the subprime crisis where people at the banks and the other lending institutions had lent money to those that had a credit rating that was high in the high risk category, and there was a high probability of default. And they had backed that with what you call as MBS, mortgage-backed securities. The subprime crisis reared its ugly head, starting with the Lehman collapse, and that was kind of a very seminal moment where every other financial institution started collapsing, and their counterparties, and then there was a huge trust deficit. And when there is a trust deficit in the financial world, it just starts going south very quickly, right? And then the losses can sometimes be the greater than the market cap of some of those companies, which is really what happened then. And some of the biggies had to swoop in, and you hear news of Warren Buffett swooping in and taking a stake in Goldman Sachs, people changing themselves from investment banks to retail banks overnight. And then the biggies like JP Morgan Chase coming in to assist a lot of the stricken companies and so on. And obviously that took with it the secondary and the tertiary industries dependent on it, because when trust deficit goes high, it goes low, people suddenly are scared to lend, and transactional activity between the financial institutions and therefore consumer spends, all of which gets impacted. Jobs are fewer. And then obviously, again, there is a huge down market. So that was the second down wave that we saw back then in 2007, that probably carried on all through till 2010, or perhaps even early parts of 11. A similar one that we are seeing coming back to the present is the current post-COVID hiring. While everybody anticipated that COVID, and we didn't really have a solution for the COVID wave, it was really the vaccines and building natural immunity. We have all thankfully come out of that wave stronger and far more resilient. And what happened there is a very different boom and a bust cycle. Everyone spoke of, oh, we'll do a purely remote construct. Now everybody is reneging on that and they're saying hybrid and saying come back to office, coaxing their people to come back. Similarly, you had this over hiring, if you will, in the biggies, including the tech majors across the industry. And again, like I said, some of the things that went south again post mid of last year and peaking somewhere as the interest rates started going up in the US had a cascade effect on the rest of the markets. And again, you're seeing the same thing. So why I did give this example is that if this past is an indicator, the future and the foreboding is actually you got to think like an optimist, not really like a pessimist. You can be realistic, I don't deny, but be optimistic because for those of us, like I said, that have been through these waves, it's going to improve. What goes down has to come up, and these are macroeconomic indicators. Now, what is driving it's take a step back and also pause on what are those new and emerging technologies that are possibly on the upswing, and there where do you think you should really be investing in tech skills, which is perhaps a theme of our how do you combat this slowdown construct. Huge things, right? Needs no introduction. Pretty much all of you are aware of the GPT hype, the OpenAI recent, they were in the news for all the reasons over the last couple of weeks. Things have stabilized, thankfully. They have been in the news ever since it took off. Perhaps one of the first consumer applications, the fastest on ramp to the first 100 million users, vis-a-vis any other consumer. They basically packaged it well for those of us that have been in the AI, ML, and deep learning industry for the last decade. This was a very different adoption curve we saw, but no different, right? They all go through what you call as this Gartner hype curve, where there is this some innovation trigger, perhaps triggered by pure technology or pure consumer pain points and working backwards. But then you suddenly going into this peak where there is a peak of inflated expectation where the market expects a lot from them. Some of them don't really meet that bar. And then there is a little bit of a trough of disillusionment before, every new and emerging technology goes through it. And then you have this slope of enlightenment and then you stabilize and make perhaps mainstream scale products. Most product platform companies have evolved in the long arc of time. They're pretty much sticking to the same playbook. And it's just the nature of the beast. So if you look at the new and emerging technologies, where my bets would be personally, I would say obviously invest in these that are perhaps post that innovation trigger to at least reach that inflated expectations where we are currently seeing, let's say, augmented reality. VR somehow has always been a little bit of a start and hit and a miss and start and a stop. But then the mixed reality wave is catching up. Apple came up mid last September of last year and came up with of this year, I'm sorry, and came up with the Vision Pro, and without really those contraptions like other Facebook, Oculus Quest, and so on devices. And then you have the generative AI hype, which is for real. I mean, there's been this huge discussion that has been going in any major industry discussion and conference where you not only have OpenAI come up with its generative pre-trained transformer models, but also whether it's 4.x or even in images, DALI and so on, Midjourney, etc. Or for that matter, if you look at some of the other underlying competition that is going after OpenAI, Anthropics, and invested by Google and Amazon, or perhaps the face Meta's Llama 2 and so on. So anyway, what I mean to say is, if you were to look at those where I personally would say there is opportunity, I think there are myriad technologies. But then again, you got to be a little careful there. You got to look at what is actually solving a customer problem, and it doesn't become a need versus a want challenge. It's not like as though consumers aren't asking. Sometimes technology innovates itself to a point where it fulfills an unmet, unarticulated customer demand, which possibly nobody foresaw. Right? There are those examples. AI is definitely one of those, and it's seeing both the angles. Right? There are those that are worried about singularity, which is artificial general intelligence, where the intelligence of machines surpasses that of humans, which is still a while away. No matter what the most pessimists or the optimists say, I'm a realist. I truly believe it isn't like tomorrow or something like other people are making it. It's my personal belief. Industry experts can disagree. but it's not on the horizon. But machines are getting smarter without doubt, and you also need underlying solid data sets to actually help get that wave over through. Similarly, in the world of visual and spatial computing, as Apple likes to call it. Yes, sure, you scan your retina and eye movement and suddenly get rid of those contraptions and have that big device and suddenly put it into B2B applications, or perhaps as they are envisaging, hopefully some adoption by consumers. They would also look at the product mix and see if that is indeed going to enter mainstream. Many have tried and failed. So we'll see where that goes. Perhaps when they launch the device at some price point, next year, expected to be order of a few $1,000s in the United States to begin with. So that's another technology that I would say is pretty new and emerging. And there are a lot of other associated Web3 and fintech and digital commerce innovations in tech that will keep getting better, perhaps also in telecommunications. So that's in my view, current trend, like I was highlighting. We kind of covered all of these. Obviously, various verticals and then working backwards and seeing a customer pain point, and then you kind of look at where that's going. So that's been one area that definitely of interest, which is where you look at rise of applications of artificial intelligence to solve problems. If you want to reinvent the finance wagon wheel in terms of the banking as a service, BaaS, which is really hot and emerging over the last few years, embedded finance, whereas neobanking and so on and so forth. Obviously, some have tried, many have, all the biggies have put their hand into it, but only few have succeeded to take it to scale. The three technologies that are based off blockchain, and obviously, yes, we heard a lot of new. There's been a lot of chatter. There's been a lot of Binance, FTX, etc. Not getting into any of the controversies aside. If you look at the constructs around Web3 built on blockchain and building solid systems that work off that, whether it's by banks or whether it's the neo banks or whether it's the fintech arm or whatever, right? You want to solve real world problems. Let's say talk about Twitter, for example. Can you do better? Can you use some stable coins and do some things there, or can you do accept payments for digital currency? People are coming, different regions are coming up with their own forms of digital currency and so on. Similarly, retail commerce, obviously, right? Omnichannel is a very hyped and an overloaded world. But I've been in this world of retail for over a decade now. I can tell you one thing for sure. It's this what Satya Nadella keeps calling, the CEO of Microsoft keeps calling it as continuum, where you basically leave off one device and move on to one, and there is a continuity, right? So that's in the device parlance. But if you were to extend it to real world human interface touch points, it could be that you start your retail experience offline, perhaps move to online or vice versa, showrooming, web rooming, and so on. You have to make everything omni-channel mobile first, without doubt. If you want to succeed as a retail player, obviously you allow for fulfillment. If you look at quick commerce constructs, the 10-minute deliveries like the Danzos or the Swiggy Genies of the world, and then you basically see how can I optimize for costs in the last mile. How can I actually build for better? The ideal, the holy grail of e-commerce, if you go back to very old Bezos video, is vast prices, vast selection, low prices, and fast and convenient delivery. And that's going to be true even a century from today. No human will ever say, "How I wish I got this product 10 rupees more expensive. How I wish I got this product to reach me through fulfillment constructs 10 days later." Or how I wish I had fewer selection options. Nobody, right? No, it's silly. So retail commerce is always going to benefit on those core three tentpole capabilities, and you also provide for that experience. Manufacturing is gaining center stage. I recently gave out an article to a magazine in the legal space where we were discussing what are the new and emerging technologies in the manufacturing, whether it's in semiconductor foray of India and getting into becoming a manufacturing hub, or whether it is prefabs and how do you build fabrication units at scale. And there are very few in the world that have tried and succeeded. China is one of them. Obviously, they're looking to, the global companies are looking to diversify and look at more markets, Vietnam, India, etc. And India is right there. We have a huge opportunity in the world of manufacturing. What skills will that take for those in the semiconductor industry? Perhaps that's some food for thought. Sustainable energy has been a huge topic. People keep talking about zero carbon. And if you look at some of the deep tech startups in many events that I participated across the last few years, and Nasscom's own foray into the deep tech, we have a dedicated arm powered by our chairman, Mr. Ram Narayanan. And there's a lot of emphasis and focus around deep tech and what it can do for all of the verticals I covered, and more so in also, building products that are also, whether it is carbon neutral constructs or whether it is eco-friendly, and how do you actually solve for sustenance in terms of whether it's EVs, whether it is solar powered capabilities, and so on and so forth. Obviously, sports is another area where there is room to innovate in terms. We know this, right? I mean, some of the I won't get into specific names, but there are a lot of startups that are also experimenting and doing pretty well. So these are industries. Now you map it into technology solutions and what skills are needed to actually be at creating capabilities for those industries. That's probably a very good point of start. And like I said, we covered this, so not going to spend. But I want to spend a minute talking to you people about a very interesting concept, and this is what people call as the MeitY effect, and authored by a very popular author, Franz Johansson. And I think the main point of emphasis in this book, the insight is that everything in the world is driven by adjacent industries or past experiences across industries. Seldom is knowledge or capabilities or problems we want to solve going deep into that one specific industry or deriving solutions out of that one. You can always, and it's encouraged in today's world, be successful if you're also having a little bit of that generalist mindset, but without losing sight of the depth. So there's always going to be this trade-off and battle between depth versus breadth. But then the beauty lies in picking adjacent industries and insights and knowledge that you pick from an alternate industry and then apply it to a different industry and see how you can solve for problems in that industry, or for what product or solution service you're looking to build. So a great read. I mean, this is actually a book recommendation as well, that the future lies in this construct of what we call as intersections. So I'll pretty much done with some of the core points, but I do want to take a moment and actually talk to people a little about some of the things that have been going on in the world of the artificial intelligence at a business level, without really getting deep into, because my colleague Chakshu will, my panelists will also speak a lot in detail about those constructs around Gen AI and so on. I would like to spend maybe 2-3 minutes talking to people about how this industry has evolved, right? Why is it so important? Why is artificial intelligence and machine learning and data sciences being given the emphasis that it is? So if you look at the industry evolution, right? I mean, if you look at the industrial revolution, industry 1.0, as we call it, was all about the steam engine and manufacturing and introducing steam and water power. And then you basically moved on to what you called as the industry 2.0, which is mass production, assembly lines. Ford kind of was one of the pioneers there, and many others followed suit. And that was using electrical power. First time we realized that you could actually build an industry out of mass production, assembly line constructs. Then came the industry 3.0, which was automated production across, ICT, information communication technology, electronics, PLCs, programmable logical controllers, and so on. And then systems, robotics, and so on. The 4.0 is really all about your AI applications, whether it is autonomous cars, whether it is bots, robots, whether it is building a mix of human-machine interfaces, mind machines, and so on. That's pretty much going to be where the focus is. And if you look at digital transformation of most of these industries that I was highlighting earlier in the earlier slide, is always going to be driven by a construct and a mix and match of your machines, the platform, and the crowd. Basically, you have a mind plus machine as a driver, and then you basically look at the components and the impact that it can actually provide to that, right? So I think that's going to be the focal area of how do you actually do process transformation, data-driven decision-making, automation, generative design, and so on. A product of platform thinking, which is the transformation of offerings, the network effect, the cold start problem. It's a great book by Andrew Chen, kind of gives you the details about that. And then you have all of these platform myriad examples, whether it's Uber, Zola, Uber, Airbnb, Flipkart, Amazon. Everybody is evolved into that platform, eBay, and so on, Alibaba, etc. And then, of course, you have a crowd where you basically provide for organizational, whether it is a crowdsourcing construct, a crowd ending co-creation concept, Wikipedia is a great example, and so on. So one thing with the concept of how can AI impact entire industries is, and which are like I covered earlier, right? Whether it's logistics industry or cybersecurity or healthcare or fintech, whether it's financial services, in other words, R&D, information technology, advertising, e-commerce, cloud computing, manufacturing, transportation, There are myriad industries that this has a lot of value in. And then you basically get into the meat of, okay, what is it that you will need to focus on in some of these industries. But suffice to say, I think build a culture of data driven. So there's a huge emphasis in most organizations that are no longer looking at data as an afterthought. It's being baked in into many organizational behavior, looking at the insights that this data can provide. So you got to be a data first or a data driven insights organization. It's not enough if you're just sitting on vanity metrics or data for data's sake. What are you going to do with that data? How are you going to build actionable insights? That's the holy grail. And then you basically look at, data exploration as a concept versus just business intelligence. And you basically map into, things that you don't know. And then the questions that you don't really ask today. Basically, you are evolving from the data exploration to an intelligence where questions you ask today will basically the known knowns, right? And then you move into this thing about how can you build from the usual, the evolution, right? From a descriptive, diagnostic, predictive to prescriptive construct. But a lot of these have been overhyped, and a lot of these haven't really. Many organizations use data but don't know what to do with it. Many, trust me. Right. So if you want to truly get to that, you'll basically have to leverage data for what it's worth, whether it's building great models that are building better systems behavior over time, or whether it is the reinforcement learning methodologies where you constantly use and validate it with improving the accuracy, precision, and recall constructs and doing a trade-off. And then how you're going to actually build that feedback and bake it in back to improve the model and train the model on solid golden data set and so on. And if you were to look at that for your data to be truly transformational, you stick to the usual first principles, right? You basically look at a user need, a business need, and a data capability, and you get to work towards the holy grail, which is at the intersection of the three. You have to have a long-term target. You have to have actionable insights, measurable outcomes, and measure it periodically, and then you go with data as a first-class citizen. So that's kind of obviously, like I said, a chief data officer or a data lead is being given more and more importance in our world. I would recommend focus on industries and applications. Now, I have seen, I was pleasantly surprised. My alma mater, Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, has an MBA in data analytics. When I was trying to look for some interns for data executive masters and in international business, or an MBA IB in international business, I was pleasantly surprised to see that they also have an MBA which specializes in data analytics. Goes to show what the value of that. I mean, that's just one example. There are many institutes. There are some that are learning dedicated programs. Do not, however, lose sight of that MeitY effect where you're working at intersections. Don't go so deep that you miss the forest for the trees. Similarly, don't go so high level that you're missing the basics in the depth. You have to make that trade-off. It's a constant struggle. Right? I come from a product background, and I can tell you, we always battle this of breadth versus depth. So it's always going to be a continuous learning and an evolution that goes with it. Needless to say, some of the perils of AI, and I'm keeping out outside the scope of today's discussion, but these are very pertinent. How do you put controls? How do you ethics in AI? So there can be a room full of books just on that one topic. Okay, so I'm just going to keep it out of the discussion, but whenever you look at data and AI and insights and machine and deep learning constructs, just keep in mind that you got to use it for the greater good and actually use machines to assist humans, and also be aware that, yes, that concept of singularity is for real. Going to happen in God knows how many years. I don't have that crystal ball. We know it's coming. God knows how many years it's going to take to get there. But we got to live with it to ensure that we put the required controls, and hopefully a lot of countries are discussing this in the regulatory landscape. We'll see where that goes. It's a fairly upcoming field, and there is enough scope for both the innovators and also the risk takers, as also the regulators, as with any other field. So with this, I just want to kind of pause here and see if how people want to take it, meaning in terms of whether it's questions now or questions later. Otherwise, I could just hand it off to my co-speaker, Mr.
We will be taking questions at the end of the session, Naveen. Chakshu, over to you.
Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen.
Yeah, hang on.
Can you please enable the screen sharing?
Chakshu, we have Naveen presenting, so we
I
have
have stopped
your.
sharing. Should I?
Yeah, Naveen, maybe you should. Chakshu, we have your presentation over here as well.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Naveen, for the wonderful introduction to the evolution of the various technologies that we have since last 15, 20 years, and how basically the landscape moves as we move forward, and what are the important key aspects of the Gen AI as well. So today, people, I will be touching upon how the brands are using Gen AI. So we will see some use cases, then we will delve into what are the opportunities in Gen AI, why the networking is so important. So apart from just the technical skills that you will possess or that you are trying to learn, why networking is also a very important aspect parallelly in order to build your career, and also how the day in life of a data scientist looks like, because right now there is a lot of demand on the AI, Gen AI, data analytics skill set. Apart from this, what are the essential skill sets for the professional excellence? Basic skill sets which are required in day-to-day life of a corporate employee. So let's start with the Gen AI first. Okay, so how the brands are using Gen AI? So I have tried to pick some of the use cases which you will see nearer to you while you are residing in India. So we have Myntra, Unilever, and Baskin Robbins. So Myntra had a very interesting use case where they utilized Gen AI, where user can basically chat with their chatbot, and you can simply type that for this particular function, I'm looking this kind of address. It should have a color like this. So basically, you can enter all your details, and they can come up with some suggestions as per the user query that you have entered. So earlier, when the thing started, so e-commerce websites were launched, we had multiple types of filters on these websites, right? Then the era of computer vision also came, where automatically companies were identifying that what are the different colors present in a particular image or a particular apparel. What is the apparel type? All these things were automatically getting extracted from the images. Then the evolution came where basically user can actually easily search on their search box. They can easily type and auto, even without, even with the spelling mistakes, or even the product is not matching, but the recommendation was given as per the user behavior on the websites, on the apparel websites, right? Now, you can easily go to these websites, you can detail out what exactly is your requirement, and it will map and give you the recommendations on the basis of the chat that you're doing with the mobile application. So this is very interesting use case where Myntra had utilized chat GPT. Then we have Unilever. The Unilever has utilized the GPT application in order to personalize the marketing campaigns. So what happens is when the brands are like sending emails or SMS or notifications to, let's say, lakhs of customers, then they can also personalize as per the user behavior and the user persona, as per the data that they hold in their database, right? Suppose I'm using the Unilever products. I purchase various different products, and I'm residing in India right now, and basically from Delhi. So during the Diwali season, they might personalize the ad campaign, they might personalize the notifications which I'm getting on the web application as per my earlier behavior. So the text that I will receive in the notification will be very, very personalized as per my age, as per my gender, as per my user behavior. So that is the power of Gen AI tool. You can actually personalize your ad campaigns if you are sending notifications or advertisements to let's say, lakhs of people in one go. And then we have Baskin Robbins. So we saw a very creative product image generation use case where they have utilized the Gen AI capabilities in the image space in order to generate some campaign images. So basically, as per the user behavior, you can generate various different campaign images, which are very, very creative in nature. Earlier, it used to take a lot of time for the like, let's say, Adobe experts in order to design and like, you can say, personalize the images which the brands are required for the marketing purposes, right? But now, as per the manager and the leadership feedback, you can easily incorporate the feedback and can modify the creative images for the masses. So these are the three very interesting use cases that we saw. Apart from this, in the banking industry as well, there is heavy utilization of Gen AI these days in order to automate the medical insurance process, in order to automate various loan processes as well, right? Plus, other things that you will see in the coming future is lot of content that you will receive is going to be optimized using Gen AI, whether it is video content or it is image or it is text. So basically, Gen AI is having its role in various different content aspects. Earlier, the industry was more about that how you can utilize the data once you have a very strong database within your organization. What are the insights that you can get out of it? Then the industry moved towards this Gen AI because there was the need to generate the content as well. Uh, so I would say that the need of the hour is like there are a lot of vacancies and requirements in various different companies for these roles. You can use the platforms like Nasscom as well in order to learn and in order to get some certifications or courses done related to Gen AI as well. Now I will move to the opportunities in Gen AI. So as per the fact from the Bloomberg, the CAGR for the global Gen AI market from 2022 till 2030 is 42%, which is pretty huge, I would say. And the global value for the Gen AI market by 2030 is going to reach $260 billion, which again you can see is a high value in itself for a particular segment within data science. So right now I'm not talking about data science and AI as a whole. It is just a sub part of our analytics industry, and still it is having a very high valuation in the coming years. Now coming to the skill set, it is the skill set of the present as well as the future. Whether you are leading a project or whether you are project manager or you are leader who is taking care of like various people within your organization and team, you will need to have a skill set that how exactly you can utilize the Gen AI tools like ChatGPT or Google Bard, or we have various other LLM models as well, right? So everyone will be required to have a good understanding that how exactly you can use your prompts, how you can do prompt engineering, how you can utilize Gen AI tools in order to speed up your content work as well as your day-to-day activity as well. The Microsoft has also launched a very innovative tool where the managers can actually create the presentations and slides by just using a text information only. So you can simply go on the PowerPoint, you can simply type, hey, I'm creating a PowerPoint app, slides on this particular topic, and the content should be this and this. It will give you 4 or 5 slides or more than that in a span of just 4 to 5 seconds. Then you can also modify it using the text box itself. You can again prompt and do modifications in the content which is getting generated. So there is whole lot of automation which is going to be coming in the industry right now. You will see lot of products getting released in the market day by day, and even the Gen AI. If you will see the news in the industry right now, on the daily basis, you will see lot of new demand in the Gen AI space, right? So the skill sets that are required in order to get into the Gen AI spaces, you will need to have a very good understanding of the large language models. So I can suggest that you can go through some of the research papers which were related to the GPT model. You can go through those research papers. You can go through that how exactly the LLM model works, like Google Bard. we have a Dolly model from Databricks, we have Stanford Alpaca model, and various other models are there. You can go through the content. Then you need to have good hands-on on the prompt engineering as well, that how exactly a prompt needs to be written for a particular requirement, and how we can do automation for the various different tasks for the application that you are creating. Apart from this, Python, as I'm seeing in the data analytics industry, is something which is a must-have thing. Whether you are working at a junior level or at a higher level, Python must be learned, and you should have a good skill set on the Python programming language as well. In terms of the career options, you can do your own startups, you can create your own small products like document insight tool or document search tool, and you can create your startup in this particular space. Reason being that there are not too many companies who are offering their products and services, but the demand is really huge and the potential is really good at this particular time. Then you can be a product owner in any captive company, or you can be a consultant in any consulting services like Accenture, BCG, EY, or any other consulting space. Right. So now we will move to the another slide that, so before moving to the another slide, we will first touch base upon certain more points related to the Gen AI. Uh, so so basically, these are some of the skill sets that you should learn, right? Apart from this, uh, suppose you have learned large language models, how these models work, you are aware about prompt engineering, how the Python language works, right? Now the industry is also moving towards that how exactly you can apply technology to the various different business cases. The reason being that we are seeing that the services are being offered by major product companies like Amazon, OpenAI, Microsoft, etc. Right? Uh, but the need of the hour is that how exactly you can apply these technologies in order to automate, in order to enhance the efficiency of the process, or let's say in order to get more better insights, or in order to do better marketing, how exactly you can use the generative models in various different business cases. Those cases needs to be identified. So you should have a very good understanding of the business as well. So let's suppose you are working in banking, or if you are working in retail or marketing, so you should have very good understanding that how exactly Gen AI can help you in order to attain your business requirements, and in order to get the efficiency in your business as well. Apart from this, Gen AI is not just a single solution. We are also seeing that various different other predictive models like AI models or descriptive models, or you can say some enhancements on the application side is also needed in order to drive the Gen AI use cases within the industry. So you should have basic understanding about the overall process flow within the business, that how exactly a particular business is working. And then only you can pinpoint that this is the use case that you would like to do, and this is how it needs to be done. So you should have understanding about the complete process end to end. Now I will move towards that why networking is important. So basically networking is important because you will get lot of job opportunities by your networking skills only. If I say about myself that I have a very good network on LinkedIn platform, I got various different opportunities through my LinkedIn community only. Various different people reach out to me for guidance as well as for the different job opportunities as well. So you should start building your network from the very first day. When you get into corporate, or even during the college days, you can actually start building your network, which is very, very important and crucial part. Another importance of the network is you will be able to find a mentor, have at least one or two mentors within your journey, so that you can take some guidance that what exactly is happening in the industry right now, what exactly you should do for your next upcoming role in the job industry, and etc. Another thing is you will get lot of job referrals through recommendations only, and companies actually prefer the referred persons, uh, apart from the persons who get directly into the job through the job application. Apart from this, you will be able to stay updated on the industry trends. Uh, let's suppose you are working in a particular product-based company right now, right? So you will have the visibility that what exactly is happening in that particular industry. But in order to stay updated that overall within analytics or within, let's suppose, in any other field as well, what are the key emerging trends in industry right now? In order to stay updated, you should have a very good network, stay connected with people. In case you are not getting time, call them up in 2 or 3 months once and have a healthy chat related to the career aspects as well as the technologies and various other skill sets as well. And where exactly can you network? So you can connect on various different events. So some of the events are like at webinars like this. You can stay connected with people who have joined over here through chat. Apart from this, there are various communities like Kaggle Days. You can join those communities, be part of those events, go there and network with people in person as well. You can network with your colleagues, and over LinkedIn, you can post your content, you can post your thoughts related to different things, and you can stay connected with your community as well. So networking is very, very important, and ultimately network is your net worth as well. So larger your network, easier it will be for you to do marketing, it easier it will be for you to gain some insights about the industry, etc. Now I will move to the next slide, which is day in life of a data scientist, or you can also say uh, uh, consultant as well. So what happens is requirement gathering is one of the key aspects when you work as a data scientist. Reason being that you will need to connect with leadership in order to understand that what exactly is the requirement for which you are building a particular solution or a model. Once you have that particular requirement, then you will need to spend a lot of time on the ideation as well. You will need to go through the research papers. You will need to open your Excel sheet and pinpoint at what are the different things that you will need to say solve in order to solve this particular problem statement. So you will need to connect with different people as well in order to understand that how the business works for this particular use case and what are the different things that you will need to take care of. Then you will need to do solutioning as well. You will need to plan that what are the infra requirements for a particular solution, what are the different model requirements, whether you would be going with any open source model or you will be utilizing any paid services from the Azure, Google, or let's say Google as well. Solutioning needs to be done. You will need to pinpoint each and every requirement, and then you will need to like work on those requirements as per the requirement, right? Another key aspect is once all these things are done, then we spend time on the development. We do lot of coding in Python. We create different modules. We create various different APIs, data models. Various iterations are done on the data in order to get better accuracy using algorithms like, let's say, for an example, random forest or decision tree, logistic regression, etc. And then finally the deployment phase come, and we do the deployments as well depending upon the requirement in case it is needed. Coming to the essential skill sets, again, networking is one of the very most essential skill set, which might not be mentioned over here on this slide, but I touched based upon already. And networking is skill set which is required within the company as well. So let's suppose if you are working any organization and there are various departments, then you should have good skills to connect with people, to stay connected with them and stay updated, and so that you can get your things done easily. Another thing is you should have very good presentation skills, even during the interviews as well. If you do not have good presentation skills, you will not be able to present your CV well, right? Giving you a very crude example, let's suppose if someone is asking that how you will solve this particular problem, right? So one person might just speak out that this is how this particular problem statement needs to be solved. Another person might just share his screen, open the Excel sheet, list down different things that he will do in order to solve that particular problem statement. And in case you will share your screen and discuss this through an Excel sheet and present it. It will have a major impact on the interviewer as well. Saying this because I have myself taken various different interviews for the junior positions, and it is very important that how well you are able to say explain what exactly is there in your mind, right? So you will need to think that the person which is sitting in front of you do not know anything. The reason being that you might be from the technical side of things, and the other person to whom you are giving the presentation, let's say your client or leader, is not aware about the technical understanding or a technical thing. So in that particular case, you should have presentation skills, converting the technical aspect to the business aspects, and then doing the presentation. Apart from this, you should have client handling skills as well. You should know what exactly needs to be spoken in front of client. So these things are also generally seen during the interview process in case you are giving interview for the higher management role. Now coming to the algorithms and mathematical knowledge, definitely in case you are applying for data analytics or AI, you should have understanding that how things work in the backend, a good understanding. Take pen and paper, take one algorithm at a time, solve it step by step, and have good understanding that how the maths is working behind and how this algorithm is working, so that you can actually apply it to the business case when it is needed. Another important key aspect is where most of the people do not spend too much time is the business understanding. So most of you might run after Gen AI, you might run after AI, Java, or any other skill set, right? But you might forget that actually it is very important to understand the business as well. In case you are creating any AI use case or doing any analytics, then without business understanding, you cannot solve your use case at all. This is like very much required, and I have seen that various people do not pay attention to the business understanding. Now, let's suppose if you are right now in your college days, or let's say in the start of your career, uh, then what I would suggest is pick any particular industry. Let's say pick retail, pick banking, manufacturing, finance, or pick any of the industry and stick to that particular industry. Go through various different use cases that where AI is used or where Gen AI can be used in that particular industry. Go through those use cases, understand how AI can be utilized, so that you can actually crack the interview within the company for that particular industry. So this is going to help you a lot. In most of the CVs that I go through, I have seen that mentions related to the business understanding or the understanding of the use cases is generally not mentioned. Another key aspect is Python. We everyone know that Python is the language of the present and the future, and being utilized in the industry since last 5 years. Uh, there apart from data analytics as well, in the automation testing space or in various other sectors as well, you will see that Python is now getting utilized a lot. So you should have understanding of Python whether you are working in analytics or any other space. Yeah. As a closing note, again, as Naveen has also mentioned that the landscape is ever changing. Right now it might be Gen AI, earlier it might be text analytics. Before that, it might be traditional AI like machine learning algorithms. But the point of saying all these things is again and again is that the landscape will change. You will see more and more emerging technologies down the line after 6 months, or let's say after 12 months or so on. Keep up with the pace. Try to have skill set of the present and the future. Even if let's suppose right now you are in a technology which is not increasing every year, the utilization of same is not increasing, then switch to a different technology which is the need of the hour. Gain more skill sets. You can take courses and certifications from various different online platforms, Nasscom being one of the platform where you can upgrade yourself by taking different courses as well. So do spend time on upskilling and identify the key trends which are there in industry right now. You should have understanding that how to identify the trends. There are various technologies in market, right? So there is this cryptocurrencies, and blockchain as a technology which also came in the industry right now. So you should have understanding that how you can identify the technology which can help you enhance your career and your skill set as well in present and in future. Yes, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Naveen and Chakshu, for that insightful presentation. It was a complete deep dive into the history of recessionary trends, the dot-com boom, Lehman Banks collapse, etc., and the taking interest in adjacent industries, the holy grail of drawing intelligence from the data, and of course, the products and opportunities, to be aware of the products and opportunities in Gen AI. Very, very insightful session. I'm taking down the point of while interviewing to present my Excel sheet to the interviewers. That is one insight that I'm taking from the presentation. Okay, to add a bit of fun here, we'll take a break and we'll have this engaging session over here of a quiz. Our FutureSkills Prime team will run a series of quizzes related to IT careers. There are 3 questions in one quiz, basically, lined up for you. And participants over here, you have a chance to win Amazon vouchers for the same. We'll be conducting a quiz with 3 questions, and the first one who would be answering the question first in the chat box would win an Amazon voucher. I repeat, you have to type in your answer in the chat box and not reply to the poll that I would be presenting here. So let's begin. I'm presenting the first question to you. You have to type in your answer in the chat box. When did the dot-com bust happen? This is the first question. I request participants to answer in the chat box. Whoever answers first would win an Amazon voucher for this particular question. Just giving it a few more seconds so that my colleague is able to see who has first answered the question. All right, seems good enough time. Moving on. So launching the next question. In the session, we had this book. Who wrote the book, The MeitY Effect? Did anyone pay enough attention to this particular slide? There was this book. Who wrote the book, The MeitY Effect? Answers have to be written in the chat box. Giving it a few more seconds for people to remember and maybe type in the chat box. This is a tough one, I believe. I think we have enough time for this question. Now I'm ending this particular question. All right, launching the third question for everyone. This should be the easier one. The question is, which fashion brand used ChatGPT in their app? So participants can write their answer in the chat box. Whoever answers the first would win an Amazon voucher. Which fashion brand used ChatGPT in their app? So this brings us to the end of the 3 questions that we had for this particular quiz. We'll be announcing the results towards the end of the session. We have a couple of more details to give you. Naveen and Chakshu, if anyone could you present the slide, the last slide of.
Sure, I am present.
All right. So the slide that we're talking about is about FutureSkills Prime, the platform that is conducting this session for you. The FutureSkills Prime platform is an initiative by Nasscom in association with Ministry of Electronics and IT, as we know it, MeitY. And it's a great platform for learning and growth in the IT sector, where you can do courses, you can earn certifications, you can share your badges on your LinkedIn platform. I'm dropping the link of the same in the chat box for you to go through the platform, log in yourself. And we also have a QR code over here on your screen that you can scan and go to the platform. Also would like to bring the participants attention to the fact that we are running a campaign called India Ka Skilling Tyohar. You can go through the campaign. We have Gen AI short pathways of 30 minutes, just 30 minutes. It's all free of cost. And you can earn and flaunt your badges on LinkedIn, and you can showcase your badges to your prospective network. As Chakshu said, you have to build your network, and also you can show it to your prospective employers in the future. Again, you have a QR code in front of you, and I'm also pasting or dropping down the link in the chat box. Okay, so it has been put by my colleague. All right, that's great. Uh, Great. Now we are opening the floor for your questions. If anyone has any questions related to the session or their career or any insight they would like to gain from Naveen and Chakshu, you can type in your questions in the Q&A box or your chat box. And we have one question that I saw. If Naveen and Chakshu, anyone of you would like to take it, it is from Mohammad Zabiullah Hamid. The question is, how will Gen AI impact consumers' daily lives, and what are the potential benefit for individuals?
So, Mohammed, I'll take that and I'll let Chakshu add as well. So, I assume you're referring to not artificial general intelligence, but generative AI. So, just so we're clear, I think you're referring to Gen AI. Myriad aspects, right? When I think Chakshu covered, yeah, where to find, yeah, Gen AI. Thanks, Mohammed. I saw that. So, look, when you view, I'm a big fan of this, right? Whenever you view any new and emerging technology or a tech that is going through the adoption cycle, you've got to be able to look at it consumer first, work backwards. So great question, first of all. You got to take a day in the life of any particular human being that perhaps wants to do more and achieve more, as Satya Nadella from Microsoft likes to call it. Chakshu kind of stressed on this a little bit with the whole co-pilot analogy, whether it's integration with GitHubs or whether it's integration with content creation, whether it's some Office doc or Word doc or whatever. But that's the tech side of it. But we're impacting a people's lives. You're pretty much making people to achieve more in terms of, think about, I'll give you a few examples and let you dwell on it, right? And then let me know if that hopefully gives some color, add some color to your thought process. Happy to discuss further on that. Take an example where you're operating under a strict time constraint of creating a particular presentation or a deck or an idea that combines myriad aspects on which you probably have lesser knowledge, but you need it to kind of supplement some of the other presentation material that you want to present to, say, your senior management or whoever, right? So that's one example in the day in the life of an average business worker, technologist or otherwise. Chakshu highlighted the essence of not just network, but also working pinpoint and backwards and applying data science and engineering, etc. So if you were to look at that, then content creation, ability to build insights, ability to get breadth data, depth data, ability to assist you in whether it is doing those mundane activities that are replicable, becomes a lot more easier with creation with a Gen AI construct. Similarly, if you want to build and connect the dots of, can you help plan an itinerary, or can you help me with some particular coding activity that perhaps can be automated to a great extent, or like I said, content creation, maybe combining image and generating images for some very known idea or an abstract idea, and then building it into the realm of technology, then you could again have a case where content creation plays some significant role. Converting what we speak, whether it's spoken text or typed text, applying these LLMs, large language models, and then being able to get some sense out of it, touching very hard. And these are, by the way, it's industry agnostic. It really, I'm not, that's the reason I've stayed away from touching a particular industry. It impacts all industries. If it could be healthcare, it could be somebody speaking to a device and getting insights on some disease, whether it's a patient or whether it's a doctor. One example. If it's hospitality, maybe you want, and that's content creation and building on the intelligence of the data sets and the foundational models it's gleaning info from, whether it's OpenAI's GPT 4.x or whether it's Llama 2 or whether it is some Anthropics, whatever be the case, right? We won't dwell into those. But, and then applications built on top of that layer, right? And by the way, I'll see if I can ping that video. There was a fantastic video that I saw a week ago. Somebody that actually, even Vinod Khosla, the famous venture capitalist in the Bay Area in Silicon Valley, had pointed to on and a primer into the Gen AI construct. So I'll see if I can just ping it while we are still on the session. Hopefully that lends color. But then I'll let Chakshu take on that as well to give his perspective.
Sure. Naveen, thank you for adding the information. So what I will do is I will take a very simple example that how I utilize Gen AI apart from the corporate world. So around 1 month back, I planned one particular trip for myself and my family. So what happens is when you go on a particular trip, generally it requires a lot of like planning as well, like when exactly you are planning to go, when exactly your flight timing is. Then you will need to plan around the hotel, the locations that you are planning to visit, or let's say on which particular day of the trip I will need to take the cab, on which day I will not need the cab, and various other things are there, right? I will need to also plan around where I would like to have dinners, etc. So I simply went to ChatGPT, type my requirement in, let's say, around 3 to 4 lines or sentences, and asked him that give me the itinerary in a tabular format. And I was having the itinerary in the tabular format with the pinpoint date and time, my flight timings included because I entered it in while submitting the prompt. And then I copy pasted that particular information in the Excel sheet and then made some changes and all. This complete process took me around 5 to 10 minutes, even including making the edits to that particular Excel sheet. Only 5 to 10 minutes. So rest of the time of the day, I was able to utilize on, let's suppose, my health, on, let's suppose, my office work and various other activities for which I might not have gotten time if I have spent more time on creating that particular itinerary. So you must be aware of that, how exactly you can utilize these tools so that you can ease some of the tasks in your day-to-day life as well. Giving you another example is that if we mentioned that companies will be sending the notifications to various customers. Now think of it from the point that you are doing your networking, right? You have, let's say, 4 to 500 different contacts on your WhatsApp list, and you want to send some personalized messages to those people on WhatsApp, let's say Diwali wishes or a particular festival wishes or maybe anything else as well, right? So you can generate content very easily, say 2 to 3 lines using ChatGPT or any of the Gen AI tool, not to be specific, and you can send to your network. Again, you can generate content for LinkedIn as well. You can innovate in that particular content by making some edits and make it more personalized as per your understanding. And earlier, suppose if it used to take a lot of ideation that what exactly you can post on any social media channel, but right now you can reduce that particular time and effort and get the content generated through these tools. So this is how it will impact your life directly as well, apart from just the marketing, corporate things or branding related activities.
Thank you, Naveen, and thank you, Chakshu, for answering that question in a very insightful manner, and I had a couple of insights into that. In the interest of time, I'm taking two more questions, but I'm clubbing those questions, and hopefully you would be able to answer that. A lot of user attendees over here have the question: where to find Gen AI use cases, and uh, how to uh, overcome career gap if they have in the IT sector.
I'll take the. So I think Divya Gokul had also posed a similar question. So here's the thing, right? Whether it's specifically in XYZ's case, where somebody's completed an internship, somebody rescinded their offer, being unemployed, especially in a time of a down cycle in the IT thing, this will come up. Number one, let me again give you that it's not just a ray of positivity or hope or some random thing. I think I've seen enough booms and busts to predict. In fact, it's the best time to actually innovate, do something meaningful and productive, but no effects per se on uh, one's career, especially if you're in your early days of your career, where there is a gap. I personally myself, when I left TCS and was dabbling between my MS options with very good B school technology schools in the US for MS versus jobs here in India. That was the time of the 2001 dot-com bust. There were very few jobs, like I said earlier. So that didn't come in the way of my job opportunities or my career per se. Everybody's life is different. Everybody's career trajectory is different. That's the caveat. However, speaking from my own personal experiences, I can tell you that you don't have to, one should never lie. One should be very truthful and upfront with prospective interviewers, and exactly show what productive aspects you have tried to focus on, even if it's, somebody's been unemployed for a certain period. Second, converting that opportunity into something tangible and overcoming. You don't have to be defensive for it, because it's not just your fault. It's the nature of the beast. It's the market. That's okay. But sitting idle isn't people are not going to. No interview likes to interview or hire candidates that perhaps were just. I'm sure nobody is. But even if somebody is sitting idle on something and then hoping some magic comes, that's not how it works. I think productivity and doing something meaningful in the periods of unemployment, and again, coming back into the employment life cycles these days, whether you are an intern, whether it's a mid-career, or whether it's a very senior experienced professional, taking breaks, people have become brave enough. I see a lot of LinkedIn updates of peers and even far off distant acquaintances on LinkedIn, where they say taking a break, taking a sabbatical, and then they come back after 6 months. But it's about what meaningful. Maybe they chose to follow passion. Maybe they chose to experiment with some startup idea. Maybe follow some other discipline. Doesn't matter. Anyway, in the interest of time, that's one long answer to figuring how one can combat a period of not being employed. But again, strong suggestion and advice: never lie. People can catch a fake and a mile away, right? So do not just say it for what it is, but also show how productive you were in the period of unemployment. That I think the industry is woken up to. It's okay to have breaks in careers. Albeit it's slowly being recognized. I won't say they're 100% there, but I think it's far better than when I was your age, assuming this cohort is still in the 20 to 30 or early 30s age cohort. I think situation and industry is improving for the better. What was the other one, Hina?
Yeah, I would request Chakshu to answer that. The other question is, where should students go to understand the Gen AI use cases? What should they
Mhm.
read? What reports should they refer to, etc.? Maybe if you could enlighten us.
So there are various industry inside reports which Gartner and a few other companies release openly in the market. You can sign up and read those reports that where the industry is moving right now. Apart from the business use case point, what I will suggest is you will need to go through various different contents as well, and how exactly Gen AI is helping improve that particular use case through automation or through efficiency or insights, right? So that is one thing. So once you will start spending time on that, how Gen AI is utilized in industry right now, and then you will parallelly spend time that what exactly is Gen AI and how exactly it works. Once you have understanding of these two things, then what you need to do is go on and let's say select any particular industry in which you are interested in, go through some of the use cases, that how exactly what are the different processes within, let's say, bank or in any manufacturing company or so, and then list down those things, that how these things works, and then try to have your understanding and implementation, that as per your understanding which you gain during, let's say, in 2 3 months, that how GenAI works. Then you can start thinking that for the new use cases which the industry has not yet solved in the market, how GenAI or any other technology can be utilized in order to improve the quality of the output, or in order to improve the efficiency or automation, right? So first you will need to have understanding of the existing cases which are already applied by brands, have understanding of the technology, and then try to figure out that what exactly is something new which can be done.
I'll throw one color, right, if I may, Hina and Chakshu, with your permission. Um, I think, guys, for all folks on this medium, always look at any technology as an enabler. Don't look at technology as the end point. It's a way to get to the end goal. It's to supplement your understanding on a customer pain point, and then working backwards, needs and wants across industries, and not really looking at saying, I know this cool tech and I'll build something cool out of AI. And I'll say this: a lot of the chatbots that I have used even today till date aren't leveraging the best of because it's a domain expertise. The data models and the data sets that they need to leverage are perhaps industry specific, their company specific, or whatever it is. But most of them are still relying on rules based constructs, versus the ability of a gen AI concept to be applied in real sense to some conversational commerce or chatbot concepts, and help desks, and obviating the need for human operators, and so on and so forth, right? The best models work best when you're training your model on and building that golden data set that has perhaps answers to some zillion different permutation combinations of user queries. Assuming it's some insurance industry, somebody wants to purchase a policy across various verticals, maybe health, life, whatever. Yeah, I'm just giving an example. How do you actually train that model across answers that perhaps smart customer support agents can give, and then use that to actually feed into the golden data set, so the model actually starts becoming better, recognizing similarity in patterns and building that. Or maybe in the e-commerce world of augmenting your catalog at scale. When a merchant inverts a particular item or a product, putting it into the right, using classification algorithms to actually put it in the right genre or the category, so that when people actually indeed search without access to unique identification numbers but basis text, then or via images, like the example that Chakshu was giving earlier in the Myntra example, where you actually build systems that not only classify but also empower search, ultimately leading to end result, which is for you as a customer to be able to locate the right item or product and complete the buy, which is what adds value to that e-commerce player or that merchant involved. You get the idea. So applications of this can be myriad. Also have this lens of customer problem, working backwards, applying that for that particular use case, like Chakshu kept highlighting repeatedly in his presentation as well, for you to build outcomes. It's very important that monetization is also given the importance it deserves. You are not just using tech for tech.
Rightly stated, Naveen, that technology, we have to see technology as an enabler. So we have the results for the quiz that we conducted during the session. Which fashion brand used ChatGPT in their app? The answer was Myntra, and the person who has rightly answered the question first is Ajay Pothula. I repeat, it's Ajay Pothula. Who wrote the book The Medici Effect? This was the second question. The answer was Franz Johansson, and the person who has answered it first is Alataf Sheikh. And the first question was, when did the dot-com bust happen? The right answer was 2001 to 2003. We have Aishwarya Pushparaj as the winner. Aishwarya Pushparaj, all three of them, I request all three of them, Aishwarya Pushparaj, Altaf Sheikh, and Ajay Potla, to write to me on this email ID so that we can process your Amazon vouchers. Okay, with that concluded, looks like we are towards the fag end of the session. I'm sure each one of us has taken some interesting insights from this session, including but not limited to the past recessions, navigating slowdowns and roles in the jobs in the current times in the IT industry. And of course, we have learned how to upskill and reskill for the next role that we all want. A big thank you to our distinguished speakers, Naveen and Chakshu. Again, really thankful to you and really grateful for you for having made time for this particular session. I know we are overrunning the time. To all our participants, a big thank you to you as well for your thoughtful questions and active engagement throughout the session. Again, I would like to remind you to drop in your email IDs and contact details for me to reach out to you for Amazon vouchers. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Hina, for having
Thank
us and hosting us, and Chakshu, pleasure for chairing this panel with you. It was an insightful session for me personally, learning from your depth of experience. Thank you, and I hope the participants enjoyed. Thanks to each of the participants. Thanks, Hina. Great talk.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Naveen.
Naveen. Thank you,
Yeah,
Chakshu. Thank
thanks,
you, participants.
people for participating.
Bye-bye.
Have a
Bye.
great evening.